If you're watching this video, you're probably depressed, and I'm sorry, and if you're not, hopefully you don't become depressed. But I'll define it in case you've never experienced it. Essentially, it's an extremely low mood. You lose interest in things, you kind of lose pleasure. And while dogs can be really helpful during this, they bring companionship and love, if you have a high energy dog, it can be a struggle to try to keep up with them. I have bipolar disorder, so depression is a big part of it, and that's all I'll be talking about today. But in another video, I might talk about that and OCD. The first thing I want to recommend is not establishing a routine when you're feeling well. So you don't want to be like, we feed breakfast at this time and dinner at this time, and we exercise and walk at this time. This can be really difficult if you have a job that's 9 to 5 because you have to do it at a certain time, but maybe walk the dog before you have breakfast or feed them breakfast while you walk, or sometimes vary it up as much as you can. He's so good. See? They're good for depression. Avoid having a routine because when you get depressed, if you're out of a depressed episode, then you might lay in bed for hours. It can be hard to even get up. So I recommend keeping it so your dog knows kind of how to relax, which actually is point 2 of 5, is that you want to teach your dog to relax on cue. This doesn't mean that they can settle down in 1 second, but maybe it takes a couple of minutes. Essentially, you can teach them a down and increase the duration of down. That's going to keep them very focused still. So another thing you can do is anytime they're resting, yes, I know, you know what's about to come, is you can give them a treat for resting and try to increase at that time. One thing I want to warn you about is the dog is likely going to get up as soon as they get treats, and you're going to be like, this doesn't work. Give it time. The dog will learn that resting will continue to bring it treats. And then when you're laying in bed, depressed, it's hard to get up, then you can cue your dog rest, and they will know that it's not time to play, it's not time to train, and it'll be easier for them to relax. Point 3 is that when you're training, I know at least for me, I really like tricks. So you've got spin, twirl, roll over. I want to teach those. But if you struggle with depression, it's very important to teach obedience before you teach kind of fun or flashy tricks. This means it's like the rest, but you also have them walk calmly on leash. You have them, yes, do that. Anything that's obedience-based, because it actually brings us on to point 4, which is don't train as much while you're depressed, because it can be a big struggle to have a dog that's disobeying and is struggling in their training, and you're going to get frustrated, and you might end up yelling at the dog or wanting to use aversive methods when that's not something you believe in, because it's such a struggle. And at this point in the video, you might be thinking, well, you're bipolar, and if you don't know what that is, it means you have mania, or extreme excitement, to simplify it, and depression. So you're like, well, of course you're training when you're manic, I'm depressed all the time. Just pick the best moments, because I've found that some people getting up is the hardest thing, and some people want to go to bed early, and some people hang out with their donkeys that are screaming in the background. But find moments that you can train and focus on that obedience. And then point 5 is one that's a little bit more difficult, and you might need to hire a dog trainer to help you with this, but it's that you can teach service behaviors without having a service dog. So you don't need a dog that can go public access and be perfectly behaved, but you can still teach them things like deep pressure therapy so that they know how to help calm you down and give you that comfort when you're struggling. And again, you might need to hire a dog trainer. We personally specialize in obedience, reactivity, and service work, so feel free to ask us questions when you're struggling with that. We'd be happy to help you, so you can bring that in the comments. And I'll say, if you want to help with my mental health, go ahead and like the video right now. Sorry, I had to say it. And I hope you feel better soon.